Hello and welcome back. My name is Timothy Fair-Matthews, co-host to the Round Pegs Square Holes podcast in the FTEN X Academy. Tonight we have Dariush Soudi with us. Dariush is a true entrepreneur with no formal education and no one to guide him. He has built several businesses worldwide, and he's been born in a low-income family, and he had to use his creativity and hard work to achieve the growth in his business. Well, I should say businesses, because today he operates a number of businesses for marketing, recruitment, training, hospitality, and a very successful online media agency. He employs over 100 people, turning over millions of dollars. It sounds like a massive headache, I'll be honest. We'll get to how you do this later, mate. And all through his Be Unique group of companies. So the topic of tonight is bringing abundance to your life and business, which I can safely say everyone is going to find this talk very useful. Dariush, I really appreciate you coming on, mate, and giving us the opportunity to hear your story and give us so much value. First of all, how are you? How are you doing?
First of all, it's an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Tim. Although I kind of invited myself, but thank you so much. Really good. Thank you. Really good. This last 4 months has been a wake-up call. At times, I was like, what the hell have we done to deserve this? But at the end of it, it's actually, we had some of our most profitable months because we sharpened our business and got rid of some wastage. Unfortunately, we call it wastage, but it's amazing how many people I was carrying. You know, it gave me a chance to reflect on my business and start sharpening the knife, if that makes sense. So some of our superstars came shining, and some people I realized they were hiding under our success. So we kind of like, polished up our business. So it's been challenging, but really, really interesting. One of the things that I've lost businesses in the past, and this time around, I thought what I'll do is I'll build a number of businesses. So just in case one fails, I've got others to fall on. And I have businesses all over the world. Never thought in my life that the whole world will stop trading.
Yeah.
Never saw this coming. So it's interesting.
But I mean, it's true what you just said. I mean, it's turned everything on its head. And I know a lot of people watching, and including myself, really have had to really reflect on how things are operating. It's high. I mean, if anything, like you said, it's for us, it's highlighted some cracks. Which, if there's cracks, it's going to grow into something more sinister down the line. So, this is it's a wake up call, like you said. So yeah, very true. But I mean, we've grown a product ecosystem since this, which I think is something we didn't have before. We had one business, one service. You've gone through. This is my first recession, I'm going to be honest. And you've gone through a couple of recessions, haven't you?
Some of my recessions were self-created.
Well, there we go. They say if you can survive and thrive in a recession, then you'll thrive outside a recession, obviously. So, I mean, I think it's only appropriate we give everyone the overview of you, and we find out why you do what you do, basically, and your journey here. So, I mean, I know the description in this video is quite encompassing, but I mean, let's start from humble beginnings and work how you got to where you are, mate.
You know what? I've said this 1,000 times, so I'm kind of boring myself. But for the listeners who don't know me, not a very smart guy. I still am not very smart. I'm one of these people who was not born with any particular gifts. But maybe sometimes I think maybe I was cursed because I lost a lot of my family members when I was very young. Lost my dad when I was 3. My granddad, who was taking care of me after my dad died, lost him at age 5. And at the very young age of like 6, I was very conscious of time that a 6-year-old should not be thinking about. I was like, people can just be taken away from you. And so that's something that it was installed in me by circumstances. So what I find now, age 54, that I don't waste time. I try to make every use of every single minute of my time. So that was the first thing. Second thing was that I was always very optimistic. My mom, because she lost my father and became a widow at 23, she was she had a hard life. So I was surrounded by 1, women, 2, it was a lot of pessimism and be careful and don't do this. And for something inside me resented that. I resented being careful. I didn't want to be cautious. I want to be, fly by the wind. I didn't like, I was never educated in a way of like, this is the way things should be. But I really knew that I didn't like going to school. Later on, I found out I was dyslexic. So never wanted to quit, was optimistic, Iranian guy. And then eventually we went to the UK. So age 13, and I had to learn English. I was bullied by everybody, but I never quit. And I was speaking to my ex-wife last week, and she said, I've never met anybody in my life who never ever quits. Yeah. So I think sometimes you have to pick your battles, but just never quit, because in this life, you got to achieve as much as you can, because you never know it's going to end. And that's my mentality. I sat next to a guy at a wedding. It was actually a rabbi. And he said to me, I've seen people, we're just having small talk. And he said, I've seen people die 3 ways. And may I share it with you? And I said, sure. He goes, one of them is, I see an old man or an old woman, and they've achieved everything in their lives, and they're surrounded by their loved ones. And, and it's time for them to go. And I'm really happy for them. Then there's other bunch of people who have so much sicknesses and illnesses, and they die. And I'm really happy for them, because they've got out of that pain. But the worst pain in the world is when you have regrets. You're old, and you look back and you think, I wish, and I could have, I would have. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to tick every box there is. And so as an entrepreneur, as you know, you take a lot of risks that most people are uncomfortable taking. So I think my life's been full of risks, full of challenging circumstances. And I believe, it's made me into a gladiator. I call myself a gladiator.
I know you mentioned this to me before. You like to call your followers gladiators, or entrepreneurs gladiators. Tell me why you call them gladiators again. Tell me that.
Well, I think if you look at, let's look at the last 4 months, right?
Yeah.
The human race has been through nightmares, plagues, also diseases, world wars, weather changes, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, but we've always survived. In the last 4 months, we've had to wear masks and social distancing, right? And everybody's talking about the end of the world. So I think right now we need more gladiators, people who actually realize that out there, marketplace is an arena. And if you haven't practiced your trade, you're not ready with your defenses, and you're not ready to attack, you're going to get slaughtered in the marketplace. And maybe nobody's going to stick a knife in, and you're not going to lose your arm, but you're not going to earn, and you're going to suffer. And that leads to our topic of abundance. But so yeah, you have to go out there and keep practicing, keep knocking on those doors, keep getting rejected. So I say you have to be a gladiator, not just this new generation of softies.
True. I mean, one of the things I always like is what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So for me, I certainly feel. I've had my moments. Don't get me wrong. I think we've all had our moments in this last few months. But what doesn't kill you does make you stronger, I think. And I think that's an amazing way to look at it. Some amazing things you said there. I'm going to pin them for a minute. Because I know you and me could talk for a while and just go off on a tangent.
That's what I love about you.
4 hours later, people are still here like, goodness me, what's going on? So let's still continue with the story. So, you're originally from the UK, is that right?
I'm Iranian born,
right.
And then went to the UK age 13. I didn't speak English, so I had to learn to speak English. And I was the only kind of non-white guy at school, so I was getting my ass kicked every day. So instead of quitting, I thought, you know what, I'm going to learn to speak English without any accent. I'm a Liverpool fan, so I used to say, he said, what team do you support? I go, Liverpool, and I'll have my ass kicked. Yeah. So I said, I have to say Liverpool, right? So I learned to speak with as little accent, foreign accent as possible, to fit in. And I wasn't very good at education. I failed everywhere miserably. So the best thing I could do was get into sales, because I didn't want to go to college or university or become an engineer. So this is what all Iranians do: doctors, lawyers, or engineers. So I went into sales. That's the only area where I could feel that I could earn more than most people who were educated. And even then, I was a very slow learner. But one thing I was consistent, Tim, was that I was a hardest worker.
Yeah.
I never really fitted with the colleagues in the UK, because there was with the sales goes like a alcohol culture. Uh-huh. So after work, everybody went drinking alcohol and having fun, pub and celebrating. But I just went and played squash. So I never really fitted. I remember Friday afternoons, I was door knocking in Northampton when I lived in Manchester at 6 o'clock. And my boss used to phone me and say, "Where the hell are you?" And I say, "I'm actually door knocking in Northampton." I used to get home at 2 in the morning. I was married with 2 kids. And, but what got me through wasn't my skill, but it was just literally hard work, and not sleeping on the job, not skiving. I was very honest. Those are the qualities that I think have served me well. I just knew sales was a numbers game, and whilst when it was raining, Tim, I was most successful because my competition was at home, right? So I was most successful when I was knocking doors at 8 in the morning or 6 in the evening, because that's when I caught the owners locking up or opening doors. And that's when my competition was at home. So even some of my clients, I know they signed up because they love that commitment in my eyes, and they knew that I'll take care of them. So I did very well in sales, and then I ran my own. I met my first wife, and she was a beauty therapist. So I got into to find a little bit more about her beauty business, and I realized that they needed salespeople because he was like, "What's unique about you?" And they say, "Oh, this smells nice," or "The box is pretty." And I thought that's not a good enough reason to buy your products. So I got into beauty distribution, and then she had a beauty salon, and I realized there was an opportunity to run beauty salons outside town, and we got involved in David Lloyd health clubs, and eventually we had 7 health clubs of our own. We had over 600 staff. 2009, 2008, I was in the UK's rich list. There was a program on Granada following me for 7 weeks, peak time 7 till 8, called That's Rich. And it was like a fly on the wall documentary. And within 1 year of that fly on the wall documentary, I had a heart attack. I lost all my money, and I was broke. So, age 44.
Oh my God. And that's when you came to Dubai, right?
Yeah, I was I was in Wythenshawe Hospital, and it said that we got 75% chance of dying. So I was looking at the ceiling thinking, is this the last view of my life? And I couldn't stop crying. And I wasn't crying because I was scared of dying. I was crying because I was alone. It was a really strange feeling. And I thought, if I'm going to survive this, and I will, I'm an optimist. If I was going to survive this, I was going to be close to my family. And my kids were in Dubai. So I ended up in Dubai.
Wow. So you landed,
September 2009. September 2009.
2009. And I remember, I have heard like a version of this story before, but you context, Dubai is not the cheapest place, is it?
Here's, we're going to talk about abundance, right? Dubai isn't the cheapest place. And for 6 months, my diet was 2 coffees and a sugar donut. Yes. But at the time, everybody disowned me. My friends, my family, my partner at the time, everybody disowned me. They said I was a loser for leaving England, but I had enough. So I burned all my bridges. I burned all my boats, should I say. I had 3 houses in Spain. I went there and sold all the insides of the house and left the keys on the kitchen top and left. Because if I wait to sell the houses and it was a bad housing market, I'll be there another 2-3 years in Europe. And I didn't have that luxury of time. So basically, after being leveraged, paying the bank, paying the tax man, paying everybody, I came here with about $700 or $750 in my pocket.
Wow. That must have been pretty tricky. So I guess you're going to share this with us, but how do you go from 750 dirhams in Dubai, $750 in Dubai to 100 plus staff and like many trades? I mean, I struggle. I mean, I've diversified a little bit. We were production beforehand. Yeah. It's so much to juggle. I mean, you have to one of the things I'm going to really kind of want to learn from you, from this talk for myself, is how do you stay so macro that you can manage, I guess manage is the wrong word, thrive several different business industries at once. How do you do that?
Well, I think honest truth, Tim, is that I look at people like Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and all these, Warren Buffett, all these people who run mega businesses. I'm nothing, we're nothing compared to these guys. They have a gift, and maybe I've actually diversified too much. If I focus on less of my businesses, I'll actually thrive more. I should focus on the ones that bring the most amount of profit and I've got the most amount of potential and the least amount of work. But I think because I had too many eggs in one basket 10, 11 years ago, and that puts a fear of God in me to put all my eggs in one basket. So I spread my risk. So I don't think it's a good thing. Every day I have massive challenges. Now I'm blessed that I have a beautiful son. He's 26. That his daddy's he's a junior me, and he's been kind of like shadowing me since the age of 12. So I'm blessed that I have him, somebody who can trust, who's got smarter than me, works harder than me, and has got more ability than I have, that by the side of me. So that really, really helps to have somebody who trusts you and you trust.
Wow.
So I'm blessed that way.
So you talked a bit about the start that you've seen some people come out of that shell. Some people really thrive in this time in your team, I'm assuming. I mean, you're very passionate about your team. I know you are. So, I mean, I guess what are the fundamental things you'd say you need to thrive in something like this? You know, is it a team? Is it a mindset? What is it?
It starts with a mindset, because as a leader, people look up to you. You got to lead your team, right? So if it's not your mindset isn't right, people aren't going to get inspired. So yes, I got it wrong. I called it wrong when in March, Corona came. I had a team meeting and I promised the whole staff it's not going to affect us. And within 3 weeks, all my hospitality business just died. Within 48 hours, every restaurant, every contract that we had just died. So I got 20 odd staff just looking at me saying, hang on, you said this is going to last. And now there's not one phone ringing. And even now, all our restaurant businesses are running at a loss because of social distancing. So, but then I realized how many of those people were looking for opportunities. So some came to you and said, hey, listen, people are looking at saving costs. So there's an opportunity for us to manage restaurants on their behalf. You know, so I'm looking for people who have the right mindset. They don't think it's the end of the world. So many people think it's the end of the world. You know, life coaches online all the time saying, oh, how things are going to change forever. Nothing's going to change. People still 2,000 years ago, we're going to gladiator games. We're dying to go to football games, right? We're dying to go to the theater. I cannot wait to sit next to someone in the cinema and hear them munching away at their popcorn. We're social, we're social beings. Yes, nothing's going to change. I think we're just going to appreciate travel more for a while. We're going to appreciate being able to not wear masks and hide our faces, because I don't think people want to be like robots and you can't see their expressions on their faces. So I'm looking at optimists. I'm looking at people who see opportunity everywhere.
That's so true. I mean, I want to circle back to moderation a little bit, because you've not mentioned moderation, but you said you'd thrive probably a bit more if you focus less maybe on the business. And one thing you said earlier that stuck with me about how you were out going from door to door when everyone else wasn't until 2 a.m. I'm very head down, work. It's like kind of 80% of what I do. Sometimes I don't always love it, but I mean, I know I need to do it. It's almost like I'm addicted, so I completely get what you're saying when others were out maybe at the pub, you were maybe working on things. I can very much relate to that. But I'm very curious to see because you threw me off when you said that. So what do you mean? Do you feel that, because this work-life balance for me, I don't think makes sense. Like, I think if you love what you do and you do it and you put 100% into it, everything's gravy. But is that true? Like, what do you think?
To succeed, to have an outstanding life, you got to have an outstanding work ethic, right? Unless you win the lottery. And you've got to put in the hours. You got to put in the hours. And what happens is you become an expert in things if you devote time. You become an expert in things if you actually study your competition. You become an expert in things in not really knowing the ins and outs of your product. I can sell anything without knowing anything about the products, because buying is a science. Selling and buying is a science, right? So if you get into if you understand the patterns of what makes somebody buy or overcoming their fears without them actually having to reject you, then you've got a good chance of building a relationship, like and trust, and they'll buy your products or services. Now, if you're knowledgeable, you walk into an appointment with confidence and the customer can feel it. When I came to Dubai and I had no money, the clients could feel my desperation. And I could feel that something was missing, right? So I practiced.
It's the law of attraction, isn't it? I mean, you've got to project what you. I mean, you're very big on your vision boards, aren't you? So, same thing.
Yeah, all my staff, my drivers, my accountants, you've seen it. Even my receptionist, they all have vision boards, and big, clear vision boards. Because I told them I'm the most selfish CEO, because I know that if they achieve their goals collectively, I'll achieve mine. And I can't do it without them. So
that's amazing. Yeah, amazing.
When I arrived, the only thing that got me going and motivated in Dubai was my written goals on postcards. And I had these because my life at the time was shit, right? I can say shit, right? It's okay?
Yeah, it's a very casual podcast, don't worry.
All right, okay. Then can I use the F word sometimes or no?
But it depends. I mean, I don't know, let the audience decide. Say yes if you can.
Not at anyone. So what happened was...
language is a form of expression. In the right context, it's okay.
Okay, we get the right context, I hope. So it just shows my passion sometimes. I have to control myself in Dubai. What kept me going? It wasn't my current circumstances, because it was a shithole I lived in. I lived in a maid's room. My desk was over my bed, and my shower didn't have a curtain. So if I showered, my bed will get wet and all my paperwork will get wet. So, I couldn't say I'm rich, and look around me and my subconscious mind saying you're a dick because you can't even afford to pay rent, right? So I tried to work on where I wanted to be, not where I was. And the only things that motivated me, inspired me to keep knocking on doors in the middle of summer with no car. And I was knocking on doors, a dyslexic guy trying to sell, writing skills or, newsletters for people.
What were you flogging when you first got here? What was it?
Everything. Apart from my body. I did try the body trick, but didn't get much money. But no, what happened was, when I arrived, it was the worst time ever in the history of Dubai. And people said I was crazy. But then what you realize, and if your listeners are listening to this, is that the best time to sell is when people have got headaches. Yeah. Okay, if they're making money, why do they need you? So I look at it from the opportunity side of things, and I thought, hang on a second, these guys have got headaches. I used to go to real estate agents, and I say, what's special about you? Why should I buy from you? And they didn't know, because before they just had a business card and the phone rang. The market was so full of buyers, right? So I went in, and I was known as the guy who say, what's unique about you? What's unique about you? Because if you don't know what's unique about you, people judge you by price. So eventually I called my company Be Unique, because I was known as the unique one. And now we have a Be Unique group of companies, and everything is all about being individuals, being different, being unique, being outstanding. Not being one of many. So
I mean, I don't know how many. I mean, to be honest, a USP, it sounds obvious, but I really sat down and thought about it. I think about 2 years ago, and it was really hard. I mean, guys, if anyone's watching, I'm sure there's people watching, but just put a list. If you know your USP, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear them, because it's quite a daunting exercise if you're not versed in knowing it. Do you know what I mean? I found that with a lot of entrepreneurs, people don't really know their USP at all.
The thing is, right, your USP isn't what they think is the USP. It's what's USP for the prospect. What's the unique selling proposition when you send a message across to the prospect, right? I've never in my life had a salesperson talking about buy my product with rubbish. Everybody claims to be the best. Right? Yeah. So back it up. If you're going to make a claim about being unique, back it up. How? For instance, somebody says to me, why should I hire your company? Because I said we have a 7-step recruitment process. I only hire happy, motivated people, which means that when things go wrong, and they will, my staff will take care of you, and they don't lock up at 6 o'clock. They'll be here till 2, 3 in the morning and care for your business like no other. Yeah. So that's a really unique selling proposition. And coming to my office, and you've been to my office, Tim, right? Everybody's happy and positive and motivated and driven. So see it for yourself.
In a crisis.
Pardon?
I said everyone was really happy, motivated in a crisis, more to the point.
Yeah, exactly. So unique selling proposition is what the other person is interested in. What's in it for them, right? Yeah. You can't say, well, I'm the best company, I've got the nicest logo, and we're the fastest growing company, and we have money in the bank. Who gives a shit, right? So it's what the market wants to hear.
Well, I'm desperate to go to some questions because we've got some really good ones, but I'm just going to ask you, I just want to steer it now a little bit onto how you get abundance in your life and business. So I'm just going to circle back to your idea of just vision boards and just having that mindset. It starts with that. Is that correct? So is there like a methodology to this, or is there?
It starts with, honestly, I believe you can talk about abundance. Now, abundance could be abundance of negativity. It could be the abundance of wealth. It could be the abundance of love. You see, one of the worst triggers, because all I coach about is making money, right? One of the biggest triggers that really pisses people off is when I talk about money. Money is one of those things that 99% of us have been conditioned to think is evil. It's incredible. You know, when you're a child, you say, "Mommy, can I buy this?" Well, who do you think we are, Rockefellers? You know, or money doesn't grow on trees, you know. Rich people aren't nice people. Money is not easy to come by. Yeah, it's all bullshit. So we fed this. So the moment I talk money to someone, they just go, "Oh, I don't have an issue." And the moment they do that, I think they have an issue, right? So let me just switch my WhatsApp off. I apologize.
That's okay. That's all right.
Okay. So what happens is people have challenges about abundance, and it's all about being worthy. One thing I know, although my mom was a pessimist, one thing I knew that she always said I could achieve anything. She said, "Okay, we're in a shitty neighborhood and we don't have any money, but there is no reason why you can't have that car. There's no reason why you can't have that plane, or there's no reason." And so automatically, that my question was not like accepting, like, why am I so poor? It was like, how can I have so much money? How can I have that girl? How can I have that lifestyle? How can I? So the quality of your life depends on the quality of conversation you have with yourself, right? So I was very aware at a young age. I didn't know later on, I went to Tony Robbins, like, wow, this is a big science. But it was just like automatic in me to have positive conversations in my head. Because thinking is a process of asking and answering questions. If you're aware that your questions are quality questions, yes, your answers will be quality. But too many people are just think shit and they gossip and they bitch and moan and are jealous, and it doesn't serve you. Don't think it. There's a book called Blink, and it says that in a moment before you act, in a blink of an eye, you have an option to make a decision, right? And it's how you translate that circumstance. So if I see somebody with a Lamborghini going by, I was like, asshole, or wow, what a beautiful car. I wonder how he did it. I want to learn how he did it. Yeah. So there's different ways of interpreting things. So fire away. I know you're going to say something.
No, that's a big one. I was just about to so do you think if your mum didn't say those things to you, you probably wouldn't have evolved into an entrepreneur? Like, do you think people are born? I mean, we've had this chat before, but I'd be curious to hear your thoughts.
Really good question.
Are people born an entrepreneur, or are they nurtured into entrepreneur? Is it nature nurture? What do you think?
I think one was, if it wasn't for my mum, right? Because all my life, until about 2 years ago, I hated her. I love her, but I hated what she did to me because, you know, she bloody screwed my head up, right? She physically and mentally abused me. Worst things, I'm not going to go on live because my mom, thank God, is still alive and I love her dearly, but I hated the way she ruined my life, right? And I always thought it was my dad's DNA that was positive. Then I went to a seminar in Tenerife a couple of years ago, and I realized it was what I didn't like in my mom was my inspiration. So suddenly I realized, instead of like keeping my distance, what I didn't like was that pessimism and be careful and everything else. And that inspired me to be opposite. So she was my inspiration. There was nothing to do with my dad's DNA. So again, it was the way I looked at things in life. So to answer your question, does that kind of answer your question about my mom?
Yeah, it does. So, I mean, to circle back, I think for you, you're leaning more towards the nurture point, right? As the nature versus
now
nurture.
you're going to say, you know, are you born or are you born? I think entrepreneurs are born. Now, right. It's like Usain Bolt was born a runner. Okay, Tiger Woods, but he probably would have been crap at basketball, right? So it was something in his life that made him a great golfer. Roger Federer, all these people, but it just happened that they were noticed as in golf. They were noticed as footballers or runners, and they were nurtured and coached, and they were in the right time in the right place. So there's lots of entrepreneurs out there, but it could be in Bangladesh and never having an opportunity. Okay, so I think you're born as an entrepreneur, and if you're lucky, the circumstances, your peer group, your education, your parents can make you the best entrepreneur there is.
But that obviously helps if you have that mindset, which is what
absolutely. There's many. I'm sure there's many footballers who are better than Ronaldo, but they'll never get opportunity to be as good as him. But they had the skill, or they had the gift, like he did, but they never had the circumstances to make them the best.
So, circling back to your methodology in a way, you say it starts a mindset. Is the biggest tip and the takeaway I think from this talk for people is if they have that abundance mindset, then things will go in that favor. Is that it? Is it as simple as that?
85% is mindset, 10% is habits, work habits, 5% is skill. So 85% is mindset. We have to admit, I say to my son, and he goes, "Oh shit, Dad, we're always having problems." So you know what? If you want to earn the most amount of money, you're going to deal with the most amount of problems. So wake up in the morning deciding that you're going to have more problems than anybody else, and you're going to fix more problems than anybody else. And the more problems and the more bigger problems you solve, the richer you get. So, you wake up in the morning saying, "I'm ready for it, bring it on." Or you're going to say, "Oh, I wonder what today's going to bring. Oh my God. Oh no, I hope it's not going to be problems." You're not going to earn money. So your motivation comes from having goals, having written goals, quantified with time scale, bring it down to daily and hourly action plans, and write it down, contract yourself to it, because end of the day, you're going to be answerable to yourself, right? You come alone, you go alone. The ego it blinds you, it's bullshit. Ego means nothing. I've been there on my deathbed when I saw a heart surgeon put a tube into my heart and I could watch my heart being operated on. We're just such fragile beings. We're not invincible. So realize the ego means nothing. Yes, have an honest conversation with yourself. And did you do a good day's work today, or did you bullshit yourself? Yeah, did you cheat your way through today, or did you make those 10 calls? Yes. So when you go home, wife says, "How was today?" And you go, "Oh, fantastic." And deep down inside you didn't do anything. Yes, kick your own ass. Yes, because nobody kicks our own asses more than we do. And take responsibility. It's got nothing to do with Corona. It's got nothing to do with the government or taxes or anything like this. It's all to do with yourself. Bill Gates is given 24 hours. I'm given 24 hours. It's what we do with it. Yeah. So in my company, when people come in and say, "Dariush, hi, how are you? How was your weekend?" I say, "Get out of my office, come back when you have a right question. Because if you want to have a chit chat with me, don't waste my time. We can do it the weekend or in the evening." So my staff come in with a laptop open, with a presentation open, with 3 questions, with their 3 solutions, and they ask for my opinion. So it's taken a long while for me to coach them. But to actually have people free you, you have to change the way you deal with them, and your environment changes. So I don't get into chit chats, small talk. I'm not bothered if people like me or not at work. Business is about delivering. I know a lot of people admire me, but a lot of people don't like me because I bring results at any cost. Yes. And I give you a delivery. I promise you increase your sales by 30%. I'll get you there, but it's going to be a tough journey. You might not like my approaches because I'm in your face and I'm pushing you. And it's like a personal trainer who passes you past the 13th or 14th rep. I'll burn your muscles.
But that's the thing. It's like with training. It's those reps at failure, which is where you make it.
Absolutely. Muhammad Ali said, "I only started counting when it started hurting." So that's the way it is. And that's the mindset. And then the habits are wake up early, beat the clock. Yes. Do some exercise, meditate, focus on your goals, plan your day. What could go wrong? How are you going to deal with it? What challenges you're going to have? So when you go to work at 7:30, you hit that thing running. Yes. You don't sit there making yourself a cup of coffee and talking about the last night's game or the Corona deaths around the world. What's that going to serve? Right?
Oh man, speaking my language, Dariush. Right. I think let's throw to a few questions just to recap. 85% mindset, 10%.
Some comments pop up. I can see some comments popping up. Well, I don't even know if anybody's asking questions. Is that?
No, there are. We're going to go to them now. Don't worry. So just to recap, guys, 85% mindset, 10% habits, 5% skill. We'll finish with skill because I want to ask you a few more questions about it. Let's go to a few questions. So let me have a quick look. Got a nice question here from Danielle. I'm working on building a community for my business. What would be your tips to start this and build a successful community?
Okay, Daniel. Actually, really good question, Daniel. Now, what you have to do, I don't know what your community, your business is, but
I think she's in science. I think I'm not sure. I think she's one of our original members. So yeah.
It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
what happens is, if you imagine, Tim, I'm going to ask you a question, if you don't mind.
Okay.
You've been in business for how long? How many years from day one to now?
10, 11 years.
10, 11 years, right? So over the last 10, 11 years, how many people have you connected with in your community? Have you touched with in networking, online, sales calls? 5,000 people, 10,000 people?
Maybe, yeah, around that.
Okay. So imagine, and out of those, if you don't mind me asking, how many of those, let's say 5,000 people, tend to be your clients, your customers? 100, 200?
Not even that.
Not even that. Thank you for your honesty. So Danielle, imagine I called 5,000. I came to Tim and I said, Tim, I've got a magic wand. I'm going to save you 10 years of your life. Okay, 10 years of rejection. That 4,900 people rejected you. You had to dust yourself down, get 10 years older, lose all your money. I'm going to call all those 5,000 people and invite them to a stadium to listen to Tim talk and pitch his stuff. And they go, no, I've heard him before. I don't want to come to the stadium. I said, you know what I'll do? As an incentive, I'm going to give you some free popcorn and hot dogs and Coke. But here's the catch. If Tim says anything that's boring, you can get up and leave. So Tim comes in and he's apprehensive because he's going to pitch his community. How is he going to get 5,000 people to buy from him? He's only got 20 minutes. The moment Tim walks in, 50 people get up and leave. And he's walking into the middle of the stadium and he can hear everybody crackling the popcorn, okay? And 100 people leave because they don't like his shirt or they don't like his beard or whatever it is, okay? You can't please anybody.
What's wrong with my shirt?
I love your shirt and beard, but it's some people who don't like bald men, right? Or some people don't like men or women. So you can't change that. So what Danielle wants to know is how can you get people engaged, right? The only way Tim can get people in the stadium sitting and listening to him for 20 minutes is by educating them something they didn't know. He never talks about his products. He never talks about his services. He talks about stuff relevant to that industry that they didn't know. He's researched, Daniel, independently. Because if you're going to educate people about the products or service that you sell, they're smart now. They think automatically that you're pitching them. So if you keep educating people something they didn't know and it was independently researched, so they can't question it, and you repeatedly do it, they see you as an expert and they get emotionally attached to you. So that's the first thing. Entertain them with things that they didn't know. So what happens if you feed me with information in your community that I didn't know, and I go home and tell my wife or husband or my friends about it, automatically, I owe you a favor. Automatically, I will recommend you to people. Automatically, I keep watching you and I'm committed and I'll become part of your tribe. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. Really good. So basically, entertain and give value.
Entertain, giving and independently researched information. Can I give you one example? It's going to give about 3-4 minutes to tell you. Is that okay? Can I give you one example? Do I have time?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I had a client, Danielle, I had a client who did haulage, and he had 100 staff, and I promised him to increase his sales by 30%. And when I went to meet him, he'd given up. He said, nobody's interested in this business. If somebody wants to move, I'll just go and see 100 people in a day. One of them will buy, and I just want the cheapest services. You know, where they go from A to B, moving homes. But then I went and interviewed his staff, and they're all num-nums. They couldn't speak English. They could barely find the address to the house. So I thought, God, I've taken this guy's money and I promised to increase his business by 30%. How can I do that? He's not interested. Staff are not trainable. But what I did was I started researching the internet, and I realized, and United Nations research, United Nations, so nobody can question it, said that 10,000 20-foot containers are lost on ships every year. So every year, 10,000 containers fall off ships. They hit ships. 80% of them don't sink. So they found Doritos, 20-foot containers with Doritos in the coast of Hawaii. They found Harley Davidson 20-foot containers in Japan. They just float and they hit ships. So what they did was they put microchips, GPS chips on 20-foot containers to monitor the movement. And to monitor the movement, oceaneers found out that you can actually monitor the movement of oceans around the world. That's it. Is that interesting?
Yeah, I think
it's
so.
Quite interesting, right? So I took that and I put it at the bottom of the quotation. So every time these num-nums gave the quotation out, they had that educational stuff from the United Nations. I doubled their sales. Because when people saw it, they thought, oh, they're not the cheapest, but hang on, that's interesting. They must be the most knowledgeable. They're going to take care of my goods. So automatically, the sales doubled.
Wow. Positioning.
Yeah, without being too direct.
Wow. Awesome. These people are loving the interview. Some people are not loving my shirt, though. I've just had a comment from Patrick saying, pre-average shirt.
Take it off. We're on for this. Go on. I'm sure you get a lot more viewers.
I'll take it off towards the end of the chat because we've already got a while to go. If I take off my shirt, I'll scare everyone away.
It's okay. It's okay.
Right. Okay. Next question. Let's have a little look. So bear with me. I'm just going to read. There's a lot. Interesting one. What helped you get through the transition of wealth and starting again? So you talked a bit about, mindset and stuff, and obviously a bit about history. But what was it? Was it just the optimism? What was it?
No, desperation.
Really?
You know what it is? I was never a bad guy, and I was never ignorant. But I never really faced failure that much. And so when I'm worth $100 million, and in a matter of months I lose everything, and I can't eat, it's quite degrading. And I had kids, obviously, at the time, and my kids didn't go to school for 6 months. Can you imagine? I have to look at them every day, and they're looking at it like, Dad, what's going on? And I felt a total failure. And what other driving force do I need? I had commitments. That's it. I don't struggle for my commitment. I just had to do it. I burned the boats, and there's one way forward. I can teach you stuff like the customers in front of me with doubts, and he couldn't make up his mind. I just stretched over the desk and shook his hand and said, when do you want me to start? I was so assertive. The guy couldn't say no. And that's how I win my accounts today. Because you know what? When I got my first deal, I sat in the car and cried for an hour. And I was sick. I was physically sick because, when an animal is chased by a lion, let's say, and the chase is finished, they become sick because the adrenaline. I had so much horrible adrenaline running inside me. I opened the door of my frigging shitty Yaris, yes, and I was sick all over the floor because, I thought, you know what, this soon shall pass. But what am I learning from this crappy lesson? And it was like that. Right now, it's easy for me to go across and ask for the order because I'm hungry, but this soon shall pass. So I made a commitment that when my stomach's full, I will still stretch across that frigging table and shake their hand. And I closed 99% of my appointments because I'm just freaking driven, and people can feel it. They know I'll deliver whatever it takes. And that's it. I don't take prisoners. When my competitors say, okay, I'll leave you the code, think about it. When should I call you back? Yes, this isn't the right time. Oh, you have too much empathy. Oh, you can't afford it. I understand. It's tough times. I'll call you in September when summertime's over. I said, screw that. Do you have time to wait for 2 months, or you want to keep losing every day? Do you have commitments? I kick my clients' asses. I said to them, I'm not answerable to you. You've got kids and a wife and a mother and father to look after. I'm answerable to them, so I'm going to kick your ass to deliver for them. I'm answerable to them, not you. What are they going to say? Because most people care more about others than they do for themselves.
I want to hire you. I don't know what you're selling, but I want to hire you.
That's period. I'll increase the
sales. Yeah, it's true. It's so true. I got another nice comment here. I'm not sure who it's from, but it says, love the gladiator mentality. I
don't know who Facebook user is, but I love to hear your name. Respect, man. I honor you.
Well, let's have a look. Wow, inspiring story. Just joining from the UK.
Stuart, put some shirt on, for God's sake.
Got a question from Sad. So he's just joined from the UK. I can relate to your story. My grandfather sold fabric from his bicycle, then onto a car shop, and eventually factories. Hard work pays off and earns my respect. That's amazing. So true.
Much respect. Thank you.
Got a nice question here. So, such an inspiring story, Darius. I struggle with sometimes letting go of the little details. How do you run so many multiple businesses and keep so cool? That's a great question.
Amazing. To be a perfectionist is actually the lowest standard. Yeah. Because perfectionists are always depressed. There's never a right time. There's never a right moment. There's never a right product. So I just accept that my best staff are only as 80% as good as me. Because I tell you what, if you work with somebody as good as you, they're going to become your competitor. So, you get somebody who's good as you or better than you or smarter than you, and why should they work for you? Why should they be on a salary? So they just take what you've got and become a competitor. So love the fact that you have all the skills and all the drive and all the passion. And every time, here's the thing, have I been stolen from? Absolutely. Have they lasted? Never. 6 months to a year max, because they see the money, they think, oh, this is easy, but they don't have the passion, right? So they do it for the wrong reasons and they never last. So they harm you for a little bit. Oh, nearly swore. Next is my favorite word in business. Next. Do you know what happened was, Tim, when I lost everything, I realized one of the reasons that I had a heart attack was that I had people I was working with who didn't share the same values as me. And if I was going to survive, I was going to write my values down. So did you see my value book at the office when you came in? Did I show it to you?
You didn't show it to me, but I've heard of it,
Yeah, and I make it clear to my suppliers, to my staff, to my customers, that honesty, communication, speed, all this stuff are my values. And if you can't adhere to it, I don't want your money. I don't want your money. And I fired billionaires and phone up and say, do you know who I am? I said, yeah, you're a multi-billionaire, but we don't share the same values. I love and respect you, but I can't work with you. And 3-4 months later, they come back eating out of my hand because they know I was right. They hate it because most people take the money and screw up their values and then become unhappy. If somebody, time efficiency is one of my values. If somebody's consistently late, I fire them. Right? Because they'll be late in payment, they'll be late on delivery, they'll be late on promises, they'll be late in paying the staff, they'll be late at doing all sorts of things. So you can see it coming. Sometimes you see a client and you get a horrible feeling and afterwards you think, all the signs were there. All the signs were there. I'm very clear with those signs and I don't entertain anyone who doesn't share the same values as me.
Wow. I think this faith, I think it's used with Nancy. I just did a workshop the other day with Nancy. We did a whole value exercise. I found it incredibly useful to sit down and really think what means the most to you. And I think we started with like 30 different values and then narrowed it down to 5. And then we looked at how do we incorporate that into our business plan. It was an amazing exercise, really good. Big fan of that. I think
there's too many gray areas when people do business, and prospects, especially sharks, see it and they infiltrate that gray area. What you need is clarity. And I think if anything, at work now, I'm a point of kind of inspiration. And also I bring clarity to the young people who work for me because they don't have the experience. And if a client abuses them or asks for too much, they come running to me and I say, hang on, no. If they want this and that, they pay. Do you know, Tim, all my clients, we turn over millions of dollars a month, right? Did you know all my clients pay me up front? I don't give credit.
Wow.
Because right from the beginning, 10 years ago, I decided that I wasn't going to give credit. I wasn't going to support anybody else's business. And right from the beginning, I said, if you want my business, you pay up front. And if I don't deliver, I'll give you your money back. But you pay me up front. So with this company that we only have 2 accountants. If you want credit, I have 5 accountants, you pay more money. How do you like it? And all my clients pay me up front. I have 0 credit issues. Because I couldn't afford right from the beginning to give credit, right? So that value has just stayed with me.
I think a lot of people could take that. I mean, I've been there.
You need balls. You need balls.
It's almost like money's a dirty word, I think, for most people. I think a lot of businesses struggle with the cash or payment conversation.
The reason money is, guys, if you're listening to this, please write this down. Today you are earning, whatever you're earning is what you think you are worth in the marketplace. So if you're earning $1 million, that's how much you think you're worth. If you're earning $10, that's how much you think you're worth, right? Market pays you what you think you're worth. Tim, when I first came here, I was doing the same tricks. I'm a one-trick pony, right? I was doing the same things, and I was charging 3,500 dirhams a month. Now I'm charging 42,000 dirhams a month, right? Same things, same thing. The only difference is that I value myself more, right? Same marketplace, same everything. So I just aimed higher. So value yourself. And the reason people have issues with money, because they don't value their experience. They don't value their education. They don't value themselves. So they cringe talking money, right? Because they think the person with the money is doing them a favor. And I think the other way around. I think I'm doing them a favor because I'm going to make them more money. They just don't know it.
You got to believe your own product. If you don't believe your own product,
they just don't know it yet. They just don't know it yet. The first risk they take is the first payment. After that, they're going to kiss my ass. They're going to kiss my feet. They're going to kiss my hand, because I'm going to keep driving their business. I'm going to pay their mortgages, pay for the private yacht and the business and first class flights.
Yeah. So true. A lot of people are resonating with that. Amazing. Right, let's move on. I think Danielle did say earlier that you answered her question. Here we go. Yeah. Thanks so much for your answer. She has got another question, so I'm going to throw it to her because she gave an amazing first question. So do you ever have days where you can't motivate yourself or feel lost? And if yes, how do you deal with that?
Every day. Every day. Now, this is Daniel. What I say is that we're talking about abundance, and thank you for these great questions. We're all, as beings, I believe, well, I know if you look at physics, quantum physics, is that we're all made of molecules, and we just, for somehow, some way, we all got together as forces of energy. So if you break us down with carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and so forth, and for some reason our brain gets together and starts thinking and having memories and stuff. So we all, as molecules, vibrate at a certain frequency, and vibration is this, correct? Vibrate. Some of us vibrate higher, some of us vibrate slower. One thing I know, Daniel, that throughout the day, vibration happens. So you're going to go through good times, bad times, tough times. So every single day, I'm thinking, what the f is going on? Why are these challenges sent to me? How can I overcome this? I'm knackered. I'm 54. What the hell am I going through this for? I shouldn't be doing this. And then I realized that, you know what? If I'm going to be a billionaire, I'm going to have a billion more reasons or billion more challenges than most people who bank tellers. So that's my driving point. And then here's the thing, my love. If you get this, you get a flat line, what happens? You're dead.
Yeah, so I mean, me and Seb had a chat about this. I remember when we were young, we called it sound wave theory, and we were like, the more severity of the wave, i.e. the decline, the more of an incline you're likely to experience. So I think this ties directly back in with what you said earlier about having the pain from an early age. Like if you almost didn't have that, I guess, suffering or those hardships, you wouldn't be who you are now at all.
No, I wouldn't. I'm writing a book, and it's called is it a blessing or a curse? So you don't know. You know, I don't know what it's like to have a father. I don't know what it's like to put my head on my father's chest, or I was a good footballer or a squash player and never had my father watch me play football, right? But or squash. But then at the other time, maybe I wouldn't have been whatever. Why, I don't think I'm anyone, but if quite successful financially if I hadn't had that loss. So, but as an optimist, what am I going to do? Am I going to let that little boy dictate the life of the man I am today, or I'm going to take charge of my life and decide that I'm going to take my lessons and move forward? It's a life of abundance or a life of depression, because you can't change the past. If you look at children, they're the happiest when they live in the now. They don't worry about, and then we teach them how to worry about their exams. We teach them how to worry about the future, what career, what do you want to be when you get older? Who gives a shit? Let them enjoy their lives, because it's all about life's about moments. Life's about moments, right? Just make sure today you have the most amazing freaking day. You get the most happy, because you're not guaranteed tomorrow. Period. I know.
Wow. True. So true.
So I hope that answers Danielle's question.
Yeah. Got a nice comment from Sabrina here.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay. Well, so Seb's coming to sound wave theory here. Yeah. Love that. Thank you so much, Dariush. I think honestly we're getting close to the hour, but I mean, you've given us so much value already. Amazing. You know, I mean, I'd love to know a little bit more about how people can keep in touch with you. Should they, I mean, I know you're in the FTEN X Academy, so guys, if you want to tag Dariush and you have any extra questions, if you're watching this later, I'm sure he'll be absolutely cool to get back to you. But tell us a little bit about how people can keep in touch with what you're doing. I know you've got some pages and stuff. It'd be good to share that now.
I think, are you going to, yeah, my name is up there, Dariush Soudi Official or something, or Dariush on Facebook, Dariush Soudi Biz Consultant. Somebody asked me to do a talk about 5 years ago. And I did a talk and somebody opened up a Facebook page on me. And organically, I've got 350,000 followers on Facebook. And we started a Instagram page. I think it was Dariush Soudi Official. And it'll be my pleasure. Connect with me, follow me. And if I can help you with your business or advise you at any means, or when I do my seminars, I'll definitely invite you. And I'll let you guys know, Tim, as well, to promote it. So it's been my honor. I see these positive comments, and it makes everything worthwhile. So I'm honored and I thank you.
Amazing. Honestly, Dariush, thank you so much for coming on, mate. I hope you have an amazing night, and we'll look forward to having you again back in the Academy soon. Thank you so much.
God bless you all. Thank you. I honor you, gladiators.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you. Bye.